Welcome to the Be the Glue series, where we share short and casual, but also very impactful conversations with individuals who have been the glue by bringing either people, ideas, or efforts together. And today I'm joined by Leah Leverich, the creative force behind Big Brand Ventures, multimedia and video production, right? And also the face behind the Decision Day podcast. Leah, welcome.
Alina, thank you so much for having me and for bringing me in on this conversation. I'm really excited and hopefully able to provide a youthful perspective on this topic.
Oh, you will, I'm sure. I'm so excited to have you. And I feel like we've met a few times in different events throughout Rochester, and now planning some stuff with Disrupt HR. But more to come. But okay, as you think about your work, right, both in branding, but also in the capacity of like as you're coaching students and young adults exploring career choices after high school, what does the glue mean to you?
Okay, so when I think about it, I've noticed that a lot of mentors and older professionals in the workplace, as I've entered without a college degree after high school, I see a lot of people who have been the glue for me. And so now I see it as I'm trying to take all of that mentorship and the people that I've looked up to that are successful and try to be the glue in a similar way for young adults that are entering the working world or life after high school. And so I see it as bridging the connection between making that graduation decision when you're in your senior year of high school. What do you want to do with the rest of your life? What does your dream career look like? And what do you need to do to get there? Is that college? Is that the trades? Is that the military? Is that just working? Is that an apprenticeship program? Whatever it is, now that there's so many options that are becoming more and more common, bridging the gap between having that decision when you may be undecided, confused, and figuring it out to actually making it in the workforce, becoming successful, identifying what success means to you, but also finding a career path that you really enjoy and that aligns with what you're naturally good at, and what's genuinely interesting. And so I think I would love to hope that I am the glue in between those two things as I lead by example with entering the working world and helping students feel like they can do the same with confidence.
And I love that so much because it's, I know, I feel like I've been there, and it's like such a big full circle moment when you're able to like give back and help that first person, right? Because in the beginning, like you're in your journey, you're in the thick of it, you're trying to like figure things out, whatever success means to you, right? And then that one person, that first person comes to you and wants your support and advice, and it just, and watching them have those aha moments as you're like talking to them or helping them, asking them questions, and you see that glimpse of like, oh yes, that's what I want to do. um
Yep.
isn't
What's
that
so
amazing? It's
funny
like a full circle.
Yes. And what's so funny is that my younger sister, she's 5 years younger. So right now she's a junior in high school and she's going through all of the same things that I did. And so for me to be now confident in my career path, as you mentioned, brand manager at Big Brand Ventures, I actually have a steady thing going now. I found my answer. But thinking back to the beginning of when I started the Decision Day podcast, when I had no idea and I was super uncomfortable and frustrated and just wanting to find that answer so bad, that's where she's at. So in order to like for me as an older sister to watch her go through that, I bite my tongue in certain areas, but also I'm like, why don't you listen to me more? Like you have, I've been through all of this. And so it's been funny to watch her have the same conversations with our
Yeah.
family members about like money and colleges and finance and career paths, and I'm just like, it is full circle, and what I'm saying and what I'm advising will eventually hit her the right way, but just
Yeah.
waiting for that moment and then excited to see what she comes up with for her
Yeah.
life essentially.
And it's so important, like what you're describing is that like in HR, it's that we think of it as the mentor and the coach
Yeah.
relationship, right? So the mentor has that experience that helps you, guides you, shares with you advice, and that coach is ahead when we put on with the more inquisitive questions, the more deeper questions, so you can do that more self-discovery. So having those two and kind of navigating that is a great role, right? As an older sister too, to support her. And I'm sure, with other young adults as they come to you for support. So tell me a little bit about your kind of your journey with Decision Day and how you started and how you support now young professionals.
Yes. So to make the past 5 years short, basically, I graduated high school in 2022. I was undecided. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and every answer was pointing towards you have to go to college. What college are you going to? What are you going to major in? And that was not ever something that I had a concrete answer to, or I had any idea of what I wanted. It was never something I was looking forward to. And I felt like everyone I was asking was giving me the same sort of answer, and it wasn't helping me come to any conclusion that I felt comfortable with. So I ended up applying to FIT for interior design, a school in New York City. I did the whole portfolio and everything. I took a semester off after graduation. And when I got my acceptance email, it said, "Congratulations, first name." So it was an email, not a letter, and they couldn't put my name on the admittance. So I was like, I don't think this is right for me.
Oh,
I'm so sorry to the grandparents who are trying to, force college down my throat, my parents who were skeptical on whether or not I needed the degree. So I ended up just entering the working world and following the opportunity that was presented to me with entrepreneur Brandon T. Adams. And at the time, I was doing his social media as a part-time job and helping him with the social media marketing. And so he offered me a full-time position. He also was kind of seeing the shift in college educations and their value depending on the degree and the industry. And I was like, I really like the work I'm doing. I see a lot of potential here working in business already and just starting. And I just wanted to run my own schedule, start making connections and make money. And so I took the leap and I just started working. And now that it's been almost 5 years working with Brandon, I'm so grateful that I did. But in that moment, I felt so alone and confused. And so I started in the beginning of making that decision, the Decision Day podcast, to find community among students that also feel undecided, but just also provide a resource for career exploration and advice on becoming an adult and entering the working world so that nobody has to feel like they're alone in this process, but also to provide a different perspective than what you're probably hearing from teachers, counselors, parents. This is a more real and relatable podcast and community that will help you really figure out what you want to do and what you want out of your life. And so that's how it kind of comes all together. And honestly ties back into being the glue because Brandon was the glue for me with finding my decision. And now hopefully I can pass that along.
and it's interesting you say that because in some of the line of work I do is I support HR professionals with their career choices if HR is not a choice anymore. And what
Ah,
happens is a lot of people will go into a degree, will go into a major, and then, they get out, they get a job, they try to be, up to par with what they went to school most of the
yep.
time. Yes. And, that's debatable too, right? But then fast forward 20 years, they've been in a kind of industry or maybe in a profession that they start to question. They've acquired skills. They are they've grown as people, they've grown their experiences. They've maybe even have grown in different roles. Maybe they are in a leadership position. Maybe, they start to look at other things and
Hmm.
midlife, approximately around midlife, they start to question, am I in the right career? Am I in the right place? Am I in the right organization? So a lot of the or the questions or kind of like conversations you've been having early on, they might rehave the same kind of conversations later on. And a lot of them either choose to focus in the profession, but maybe, go in a lateral role or maybe go in a leadership position or maybe even leave the profession and do something different. And recently I had
Yep.
somebody who went from a CHRO, which is a chief HR officer, to a COO, which is a chief operating officer. And when you start to look at the skill set that they had acquired throughout the years of working and getting to that C level, right? It was fascinating to see that, you have so many skills that you can use somewhere else.
It's
So,
interesting you say that you're seeing that among adults because, as we all know, in high school, that decision in senior year feels like one decision that you have to get right on the first try, and that's going to be what determines the rest of your life. That's
Oh,
really what it feels like, even still. That's what I remember feeling. And so trying to get that message of you can pivot and also you can change career courses, build up or career paths, build up these skills that you're talking about and see where it takes you from there is always an option. But
yeah.
and I think it's becoming more and more frequent and common, but it's definitely not the feeling that I know a lot of high schoolers think is okay in the moment.
And I think a lot of like at least the individuals that I've, coached and been part of their journeys, none of them has had a linear, growth in their career. It's usually like, like for
Yeah.
me, actually, that I'm a good example because I left the HR function and I went into IT for some time in my career, early on in my career when I was still in the entry level,
Yeah.
roles. But that opened up the door for a whole different, kind of branch um, of coming back into HR technology, something that a lot of people don't even know that exists, or a lot of people, think of it as secondary, like, oh, you're in HR
Yeah.
tech. What does that mean? But it's a whole, branch of HR and as a function that it's been blooming, and especially after 2020, right? And there
Yeah.
is so much you can do within HR tech and people operations. And a lot of people don't even realize that that could be a whole career in itself, especially nowadays with like AI and right.
And it's definitely shifting, even if we look at a local level. Like my grandpa, his experience was he worked in Kodak for what, 30 years? That was
Yep.
his whole thing. Just one job, one, employer for his whole career. Same with my parents right now. They've been in radio, and my mom's been on the radio for 25 years. So it's like
Wow.
I even grew up with seeing them just have one thing. So to make that one decision was such a pressure on me of
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to do. I haven't found it yet. Do I just pick one and hope that it sticks like it did for them? But now you see so many different, especially in the world of entrepreneurship, but so many different options and ways that you can switch. And so now it's actually exciting to see the other people that I've been looking up to that do switch how they want to present
Yeah.
themselves and what career they want to pursue. And just thinking about like, changing that traditional thought of retire at 65 and be working at the same place for forever. I'm like, maybe I want to switch it up like halfway through my life and just do something completely different, or maybe I just want to work as long as I can and always stay active doing something, like become an elementary school teacher when I'm 65 and just work with little kids could be fun. But I just think changing that
Yeah.
mindset has been huge for me, and I don't know if you've been realizing that as well based on who you work with too.
And as you say that, like it hurts me to hear that, it feels such a big decision, especially when like life will throw you stuff left and right as you grow up. Like things will change. I've immigrated in two countries. So I was born in Albania. My family immigrated from Albania to Greece. And then again from Greece, I came
Wow.
here for school. So for me, actually, I started as a finance major, believe it or not. And then when I moved to United States, I was like, no, I need something in people with people. I'm a people. Like
Yeah.
I need to be more right, like out. So I found training and development was really, I went to school for organizational learning and HR, and I just loved passion. I got found my passion, but it took some discovery, and I felt like my parents were always very open to say, go try new things. Just go figure it out. It's going to work out. It's okay.
That's so
Um,
great.
and it was hard for them. Trust me. Like I left my family in Greece, the country, not Greece, New York, because there's a Greece, New York here. Right. But and then coming to United States, it was hard for them. Like I hadn't seen them for 5 years. So I had to figure it out. But I want the same for my kids. I want them to go
Yeah.
explore. And when I think of, career, I don't think of it as on its own. I think of it in the life context, right?
Hmm.
Because certain things will happen throughout your life that will impact your career and vice versa, right? But I think of 20s being like your time to explore. Maybe 30s is more time to, okay, maybe, settle on something. And 40s is maybe time to reinvent yourself. Why not?
I
And
like that.
at the same time, it's don't put your eggs in one basket. Like a 9 to 5 is awesome, but you see what's happening in the world. Like, why not
Yeah.
have a side gig? Why not have real estate? Why not have some, projects that bring you side income? Doesn't have to be a lot, but now you might have multiple income streams. And I don't know that this is being taught enough in high school or even middle school. I would think even in middle school to start having these conversations.
Right? It's interesting you say that too, because I've talked to counselors that, first of all, I've talked to my counselor since graduating that helped me through making my decision. She's not even a counselor anymore. So I think that kind of shows like how that ended up. Um, so the preparation was definitely interesting because the counselors, I think, are coming around to these ideas, but also you have to consider like, if you are a young student or if you have or know a young student that is asking their counselors and teachers what to do, you have to consider that all of those people took the same career path or the same education path to get to that career. They all had to do their 4-year degree and master's to be teaching and in education or something along those lines. So when I was looking for like an entrepreneurial mind, I wasn't finding it clearly because
Yeah.
look at the people I was asking.
So when you think about, well, I guess, what's happening in our region, or what are you seeing? Are there things you're seeing that might be, interesting and you're seeing people's mindset shift, or maybe our local, academia shifting a little bit?
Yes, definitely. I've spoken and read to, like, read stories to classrooms with all ages. So, like, some fifth graders, some seniors, some juniors, even talk to some college kids. And I know that a lot of, like, when you think of the youngest generation right now, the elementary school students, I think the impression that we get is that they all want to be influencers. They all want to be online. They all want
Ooh,
to be a
okay.
YouTuber. Like, I keep hearing that even from parents. And when I've read to some of these groups, of course, it's different depending on the school district and the region, but I've actually been surprised to hear that a lot of them aren't saying that as much as we think they would be. Of course, you're going to get a few, but these young adults still do understand that there's really a various like they can really enter whatever career they want. The younger you go, it's cooler to see how creative they get, like professional soccer player to I've heard NICU nurse, and I'm like, you're not even 10. How do you know what that is? So it's super impressive to see. But I think there's just such an emphasis on the amount of opportunities within the trades right now.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are noticing whether they're currently enrolled in college or if they're about to make that decision. Like if you want to enter something like business and marketing that's changing so rapidly, or even technology and software and everything that AI is kind of impacting, people are noticing like I think I could just get hired. And I've been telling so many young adults that are eager, just start kind of like I did. I highly recommend with a social media marketing role since we've all been trained in social media our whole almost our whole lives.
Do it
I've
with
had
your eyes
Instagram.
closed.
Yes, I've been Instagram since I was 12. We know how this stuff works. And a lot of these busy podcasters, entrepreneurs in the area, small businesses, locally owned companies, like all these places that don't have the time on their hands to market through social media, they are looking for someone eager and coachable that will just come in and post for them. That's a great place to start. And then you enter in with a network of people or a certain business that you can work your way up in, or maybe it'll lead you to something else. But I've noticed those few things about there's a lot of opportunity, especially with the entrepreneurial community locally or even nationally, but also it's not as limited anymore. And it's definitely, even since 2022, when I graduated, the conversation is absolutely shifting among educators too, of like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe college isn't the only thing that we should be recommending to these students. It's definitely gotten better over the past already 3 or 4 years. So I can't imagine how it's going to change, by the time we hit 2030.
And from a workplace perspective, I see a shift in, younger generations coming in, still needing a lot of support when it comes to the soft skills, as I hate that word, but that's
Yeah.
what we call it, right? The human skills, like the more critical thinking, the more communication or building relationships. So training departments in workplaces, they spend a lot of effort in offering training that is around accountability and personal responsibility, and how you can be a better communicator, or different leadership skills, right? So I think the way I'm seeing it is even jobs will start to shift and be more focused on the skill sets that you're bringing at the table, not necessarily um, on a career ladder that you might be able to,
Yes. I hear
right?
this all the time talking to adults that are hiring younger, we'll just say Gen Z to make it like broad, but I see that so much of like Gen Z has no work ethic. They're moving from one thing to another too quickly. They're horrible with communication. And I think I can't say that these things aren't true because I've seen the best employ or workers of Gen Z, but I've also seen some that need
Mhm.
some work
Yeah,
and need a little bit more training. But I think it leaves such room for you to stand out if you're a younger person entering the working world, because that's how I've been able to like connect. It kind of, when you utilize that, it can make you unique of like, you notice that a lot of people aren't good at communicating. So if you can be a younger adult that is really good at communicating, you're going to stand out so much more among people who are looking for it. So doing those things that maybe a lot of people aren't doing to try to make yourself stand out is has been huge. Even
yeah,
just the networking part. Like that's how we even met was me just being like, "Sure, I'll go to that event." I
yeah,
don't even know fully what it is, but just showing up and saying yes and doing something that maybe a lot of other younger people aren't doing right now. It can really help, you get
yeah.
opportunities that people might not think you could or that you couldn't didn't think you could.
And I've seen both, right? I've seen younger generations coming in with more prepared and others not, but
Mhm.
not necessarily like by generation. It's just I think also play a big role plays the leader that you report to. And a lot of the
Mm.
work I do is around um preparing leaders for how to have those difficult conversations, how to develop their employees. And sometimes if the leader doesn't have the skills to develop an employee, they might not be able to support them and meet the employee where they are. And sometimes, if the employee wants more support on the communication skills and build those, and the leader doesn't know, that's where a lot of some friction might come up, right? So, not only how do we prepare, the newer generations coming in and supporting them, but also how do we prepare leadership already there and, older generations to be more open minded and help build that because sometimes it just comes down to not knowing. Maybe they were not exposed to good communication. Maybe they just didn't have that um, exposure or support from other ways. So this is the time to build those, which then of course
Yeah.
puts a lot of strain in HR departments to be able to create the foundation, right? And that is a lot of the work that's happening now around with AI coming up, right? With like reskilling and upskilling
Yeah.
workforce.
Are
It,
you seeing a need, especially in HR, but for leadership to be more honest and vulnerable? Because that's what I'm currently feeling, even just with my full-time job as brand manager. I look to the leadership team and I just want them to be vulnerable and like give us the truth. Do you see that too?
and that it can be a mix, right?
Mhm.
It depends on the culture that the
Yeah.
organization has built. I've been in organizations that they are very transparent and open, and then I've been in organizations that were um, very political at the top. Not political government, but like more politics
Hmm.
within the organization. A lot of decisions made behind closed doors. Uh, Even borderline toxic, right? So it depends on what is the culture that you're building in your organization and what are the expectations that you have of your leaders, right? And how are you modeling it top down? A lot of that
Yeah.
has to do how are you modeling, and sometimes you'll see that in the entrepreneurial world where it's mostly hustle, 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 and maybe not a lot of time spent in self-development as a leader. And suddenly, like when you're an entrepreneur of one or maybe a team of five, it's very different than when your business starts to grow and now you have a team of 20 and a team of 30 and a team of 100 and a team of 500, right? Your leadership skills also got to scale. And sometimes if they don't put emphasis in building those, you can see the ripple effect down in how
Yeah.
the teams and the culture they're building, right?
That's incredibly interesting. And because I'm so new to the workforce, I am absorbing everything you just said because I don't even know what the right answer is because I'm not there yet. But I'll have to like bookmark this and come back to it in, I don't
Uh-huh.
know, 10 years, 15 years and be like, "Oh, that's what she meant. That's what she's talking about." Because I'm learning. I'm soaking it all
And
in.
you'll watch because so I always talk about symptoms, right? Like
Yeah.
you look at an organization, and it's easier for me now, like coming in as a consultant, right? And like you kind of know what are the symptoms you're looking for in a toxic
Yeah.
environment or in an environment where maybe there is some leadership potential. Um, but you'll watch for symptoms of a good culture and a bad culture, right? So you'll feel it. You'll feel it. And I'm sure you're feeling, right now, like I see you on socials, like you're building events, you're part of branding, right? You're out there.
Yeah,
You're taking it all in. You're in the exposure phase right now. And it's awesome.
totally.
Soak it all in, girl. I love it.
Yeah. I'm excited because this is the one time in my life I think that nobody's depending on me. And I also try to share that with other people my age. Like, I don't have any kids. I don't have a spouse. I don't have a house, like even a house or property. So I'm just saying yes to everything, taking it
Yes.
all in because it probably won't ever be like this again. So it's like this is when you work and accomplish as much as you can in the short period of time before things, start to get more complicated.
Never say never. You never know. And
True.
there are ways. I mean, I have two kids and I have a
Yeah.
house, but I don't think of time management like most people.
Mm.
I think of time management as actually priority management. So
Ah,
even if you have kids, even if life has thrown you in different situations, you can still find ways to do what you love as long as you're in alignment with your purpose.
that is true because you do like 50,000 things.
That's why
I'm always like,
I called my business in the works because life is always going to be in the works. There will never be the right time for you to have kids. There will never be the right time to chase another job or another career. There will never be the right time to do anything. Now it's the right time. It's just do it, and then everything is figure outable. I have even a t-shirt. I need to wear it more often, but it's a t-shirt that says everything is figure outable. And maybe today, I do one tiny thing about my business, and tomorrow I do 100. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's a priority. Where do you
yeah,
stand in your
so
priority?
good. I appreciate that. That's really good.
And the same with my kids, right? Like there's times that I am fully present in what, they need, and they have a rehearsal, like I'm there, bedtime, I'm there. And there will be some evenings that this is more important today, like disrupt HR. I don't put my kids to bed when it's disrupt HR night, right? I'm a disrupt. But then how do I, and there's no balance, right? Forget about work-life balance is not a thing. It's utopia. But it's how to manage and juggle these priorities and to what works for you. And I think I wish that somebody had taught me that early on in my career. Because
Yeah.
early on in my career was a lot of people pleaser and doing everything for everybody else, you know?
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. I'm taking mental notes because applying it to my job right now, but also I'm grateful that the people that I work with also have those same principles of like Brandon, for example. I mean, this is a bank holiday today. We're all working. Like it's just there is no real balance. So you just got to get done what needs to get done, and that's how you grow and scale. But I really admire you for how much you do because every time we reconnect and talk, I'm like, do you have more hours in the day than I do? And I don't know how you're like, I
I
think
don't say
I'm
yes to everything, I promise. Most people think like, oh, you do a lot. Yeah, I do, but not every day. Like, like I don't teach at Fisher I'll teach at Fisher for like a semester and then that's it. Like, um,
Yeah.
but you
Well,
just
it's incredibly impressive.
thank you. So tell me where people can find you. Any things you want to share that are coming up that you want us to kind of tag? Let us,
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. So the podcast is called Decision Day. You can listen to it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Also on YouTube, it's just my name, Leah Leverich, or you can look up Decision Day Podcast. And yeah, just join the community. Reach out to me on social media if you have a student yourself, or if you are a student and you have some questions. Like I'm always happy to work with parents or young adults to help them feel like they can enter the working world with confidence. That's just what lights me up. And so I'm so excited to meet more and grow the community.
And I'm publicly committing to this. So I have an 11-year-old Nancy, and I'm gonna ask Leah to be her mentor when
I would
I think
love
she's
that.
gonna get into middle school next year, and Nancy has a soap business, Fancy Nancy Soaps, and
Right.
I would love for you to, and she's gonna be a Disrupt HR, so
Is
you're
she
gonna meet her
really?
there.
Okay. I will be talking to her and I will probably be best friend. Like me and her are gonna be together. Because if we're both the youngest in the room, that's it. Like that's fast friends. So I'm there for her, whatever Nancy
I
needs.
love it. I love it. Oh, I because I want her to be exposed to different things,
It's
not just
genius.
college.
Yeah,
Not just college, it's or university, right? I mean, Golisano Institute of Entrepreneurship has been changing the game, in academia locally, and
absolutely.
it's something to watch and something to embrace because it's really important that, kids have more than just one choice, right now.
Yep. That's
I
everything
love
I preach.
exactly. So, Leah, what would you leave our audience with?
I would leave the audience with okay, so we talked a little bit about passion and finding your purpose. There's a quote that my dad told me a few years ago that he heard from Mike Rowe. He was the host of the show Dirty Jobs. And the quote is, follow your opportunity and bring your passion with you rather than trying to figure out what your passion is. Follow whatever your opportunity is and bring what you're naturally good at and what you enjoy doing. Bring it with you and then execute through that. I think that really helped me. I hope it helps some people too.
I love that. I haven't heard of that quote, but I'm totally writing.
Good.
Um,
I'm glad.
That is awesome. I love that mindset. That's making it figure outable.
That everything comes back together. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you, Leah. Thank you for joining today.